Hi Year 7. I've had lots of people struggling with one of the activities that I set on Wednesday, so I just want to go through a couple of things. First of all, periodic table. This is all the elements, okay? Now you might have one that looks like this, you might have one that's got a little table at the bottom as well, but this will contain all the ones that we need to use. Now all the elements are things that contain only one sort of atom. All of the elements are in this table, and you can see that they're given a letter. So instead of writing boron, you can write B, carbon C, nitrogen N, and so on. Now some things have got just one letter, and it has to be a capital letter. Some things like chlorine can't be just C because C is for carbon, so it's capital C, lowercase l. Any that have got 2 or even 3 letters down at the bottom, but we don't usually use those, well, they've got 2. It's a capital first letter, lowercase second letter. Okay, so there's lots that you'll have heard of. There's some you won't have heard of, and some you will never ever use because they're really quite rare. But all of the elements are on this table. So the first thing you had to do on Wednesday's worksheet was just look up some different elements, and most of you got that done absolutely fine. It was the second task that people started to struggle with. Now what you had to do with the second task is you had to look at a chemical formula and be able to see what sort of atoms are in that chemical formula. So I've just written down some of the common atoms here that I'm going to show you what we can then do when we can see a chemical formula that contains more than one of these atoms. So first chemical formula we're going to look at is one that you're probably aware of. It's water, H2O. Okay, now H2O, H is hydrogen, O is oxygen. So H2O, what that means is 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So where you've got H2O, that 2 tells you there's 2 hydrogens. Where you've got an O, there's no number after that, so it just means there's 1 of them. So H2O would be 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. CO2, that's carbon dioxide, that is 1 carbon and 2 oxygens. How did I know there was only 1 carbon? Well, there's no number after the C. How did I know there was 2 oxygens? Well, there's a 2 after the O. Now this one was on the worksheet. It was the first one that you had to do. H2SO4 means 2 H's, 1 S and 4 O's. H2SO4. Okay, so 2 hydrogens, we know that because H2. 1 sulfur, we know that because S is sulfur and there's no number after it. 4 oxygens. Okay, now some of you got confused, I think, when you got given a formula that had got the lower cases in as well. For this one, NaCl, I know that Na must be one chemical and Cl must be the other chemical, and I know this because I've got a capital letter and a lowercase letter. Capital letter, lowercase letter. And remember, when you've got a lowercase letter, it's got to be joined up with a capital letter in front of it. There's only 1 Na and 1 Cl because there's no numbers after them. This one, we've got Na again. Na is sodium. We've then got an oxygen and we've got a hydrogen. So it's 1 sodium, 1 oxygen, 1 hydrogen. My last example, copper sulfate, you've got 1 copper, Cu is copper, 1 sulfur and 4 oxygens. Now just to make it really clear, it does matter about whether you put in your capital letters or lowercase letters, because for instance here C is carbon and O is oxygen. So if I wrote CO, that's carbon monoxide, 1 carbon and 1 oxygen. If I got it wrong and wrote C little o, well C little o, if I look in the periodic table, that's cobalt. Okay, I hope this has helped and I hope you're all well.